Hello guys and welcome to Mark Shrimp Tanks. Today I'm going to show you how to ship shrimp. Coming right up. Right, so let's go over first what it is you're going to need to actually ship shrimp. Right, I think we should start off with the basics here, and let's start with the box. I like to use insulated boxes. These are called Isapor in Norway, and the reason I like to use these guys is because when you ship shrimp, right, it's not that you just have to keep them warm, you also have to keep them cool, right? So this applies to people that live in hotter countries as well. If you use insulated box like this, it will keep your temperatures from getting too hot, alright? So that's why I use these. I wrap them in paper. By the way guys, I'm actually a qualified bar certified packer, so this will be interesting for you guys to see as well. I've actually been on a training course to learn how to pack things properly, right? And that involved me, basically the test was you had to have a raw egg in a box, cardboard box. You had to pack it well enough that when you threw the box in the air and it landed in the ground, it didn't smash, right? So that was part of the test. We learned lots of different things, but that was part of it, right? So that part is very important. Other things you will need, of course, is I like to use breather bags. These breather bags last, they basically add days and days onto the shipping, right? So if, for example, if you have shrimp that are stuck in customs for 2 weeks, with a breather bag there is a chance that the shrimp might still be alive, right? If you use normal bags with a big, you know, some people use the bags with a big massive air gap in them. I don't think they're as effective, because especially when you look at things like a spirit level, if any of you guys know what a spirit level, when you move it back and forward like this, you have a bubble that goes back and forward like this. I think that can be quite disruptive in an enclosed environment, this bubble going back and forward like this with the shrimp. You know what I think, guys? So I'll show you how we're going to pack them. You'll need some rubber bands as well. I like to use some little mesh material like this to put in to the cups, to give the shrimp something to hold onto. I don't put any food in the cups either, because with this, basically when you strip shrimp, guys, you're battling time, you're battling things like ammonia rising, nitrate levels rising. Okay, so we need that. We need some paper to wrap in. Paper is the best because it is one of the best insulators I find. We need a straw, and I'll go over that once we do it. You'll also need a tape gun. You can do it by hand using tape and a pair of scissors, but this saves you time. It's also much more nice looking. Okay, so what I typically do in all my tanks when I'm going to catch shrimp en masse, let me explain what I mean by en masse. My painted fire reds down here, I will select them by hand. All my other shrimp I will select them by hand, but my cherry shrimp over in this tank in the corner here, they are almost all the same. So what I do is I tend to put a net in like this with a bit of food in it, put it in the tank, go away, have a cup of coffee, something like that, come back, pull the net out, put them into a see-through container like this with some water in it, and then select the shrimp out of it. And the other reason I do that, guys, is because the only thing I would take out of a cherry shrimp catch would be the ones that are pure white or just clear, basically. In that tank specifically, I do no culling, but I watch them a lot, so I can see that there's not really any bad ones. I always give people extra anyway, okay? That's another thing as well, guys, I do with my cherry shrimp, is I don't put my painted fire red culls into my cherry shrimp tank, right? Because quite often with painted fire reds, you get, once they breed, you get better shrimp. Okay, and when someone is paying something for a specific thing, a cherry shrimp, they might want to just breed cherry shrimp. You shouldn't really put painted fire reds in the mix, because it'll mess up whatever they want to do with the cherry shrimp, okay? That's my 2 cents. I'm going to put the net in, we're going to get the shrimp, and then we'll get onto the packing, okay? One momento. Okay, so we have our shrimp here. There's like 15 plus shrimp in here. This order is only for 10 shrimp. This is to one of my friends. So what we're going to do, guys, is it's not for much shrimp, but I'm going to split them in half. I'm going to put half in one of the container and half in the other, and that is just in case one of them dies, wrecks a bag. You will still get some shrimp to them somehow, okay? So that's what I like to do. Let's collect some shrimp. like so. It's up to you, you want to count them. I've already counted these. And try and give people a mix of male and females as well. Because it's something I hate reading about, is when people get cherry shrimp specifically and they're all males. That is just the seller wanting you to buy more shrimp. Right, so I'll get back in 1 second once I've put all these guys in their bags, okay? So the next step is to take your little piece of mesh and place it into your little cups like this. Alright, so there is you have your breather bags with your mesh in it, with your shrimp in it, and all you have to do is tie these, right? So let's tie one of the bags. This is pretty easy to do. Lift up your bag like so. Right, and you're going to grab it, guys, just above the waterline. Right, so try and get as much of the air out of the bag as possible, but don't squeeze it so it's like you're making the bag go out of shape. Try and do it so it's like naturally no air in the bag, like this. You see it? You give it a couple of twists, turn it over, and then give it a good twist on the other side, right? Because this is the side that we're going to use to tie the actual bag. Lots of different people have lots of different ways of doing this. And then you get this little part here of the bag, and this is where we're going to attach our first rubber band. Right, and make sure, guys, when you do this as well, that you get decent rubber bands. Give them a good stretch. Make sure they're always new. Don't use old ones, because old ones tend to break, and if your rubber bands break on a bag like this, your shrimp will leak into the box and probably kill them. Alright, so pass your rubber band under this little twist here and loop it under itself, right? Like this. You see it? So it's looping. You want this little knot here to be just above the first crease. There, you see it? And then you fold over the top part like this. Alright, is it making sense? And then you go, you twist the part nearest to you over the bag like this. And if any of you guys have ever put a rubber band on your finger and done this, you know how tight it can get, right? You will eventually cut off the blood circulation. So do it as tight as you're comfortable with doing without actually breaking the rubber band. Then grab your second one. Always use two, guys, and then place it over the rubber band that's there. Do the same thing again. Pull it up over itself, you see? Make sure that it's tight, and do the same thing again like you did in the first part. Right? And there you go. There's how you tie the rubber band method with these breather bags. And I know a lot of you guys are thinking that's not an awful lot of water, but you don't need an awful lot of water with the breather bags. Alright, and then we're going to wrap them. I'm going to do this other bag first. I'll get right back in a second. Okay, next step before we put the shrimp in the box is to actually prepare the box, right? So we're going to have to put a breather hole in this box. It's something I recommend all of you guys do. So just pick a side, doesn't really matter which one. You can put two holes in or one hole in if you like. What I like to use, guys, for this is, especially with these styrofoam boxes, is a large solid straw like this, right? And you're going to pick a side that is the top and the bottom. And then you're just going to gently press a hole through it, right? And it's good if you just spin it slightly when you do this as well. I already have a hole on the other side of the box, so I'm only going to do one here. And it leaves, let me see if I can show you this a little bit better. It leaves a perfect round clear breather hole, right? Because that is an issue I see with a lot of people when they pack stuff, is they do make a breather hole, but they don't make sure it's clear. And it's not enough. It's not enough basically for the excess heat in the box to escape, right? So you can do one or two. Most of the time I do two, so it's like double this size here. This box just happens to have one on the other side as well. Here, you see it. And so this is going to be our top, this is going to be our base, right? And we must protect our base from the heat. Right, so here is our heat pack. Let's just get this one done first. Shows you this is actually a real order. It's not just for a video. Keep on calling it an order. It's for my friend. Right, just give this a little jiggle like so. This mixes up all the stuff that's inside the bag because these are activated by air. Right, chuck away the packaging, make sure you recycle it first. Take your newspaper, open it up. Right, I like to cut it so if this was a normal newspaper like this, you're reading it guys, I like to cut it so it's in half, so it goes this way, you see it? Right, so you're going to need a couple of sheets of newspaper for this. This is just to give the box some protection as well. Right, so you're going to wrap it. Doesn't have to be perfect, like so. Right, and you're going to need to tape it. Right, I can't make this clear enough. This part you don't have to do it absolutely perfectly. But if you're selling shrimp, it's probably a good idea for you to get into the routine of making everything look pretty and nice, okay? So make sure you fold over the edges. By the way guys, at Christmas time, guess who has to pack all the stuff? Yes, me, because I seem to do it the fastest in the house because I've had training. Right? And so you have your package like this. Obviously I don't pack a Christmas present quite as bad as that, right? But place this in the box, in the bottom. Right, and then what I like to do guys is just give it that tiny little bit extra protection. Find some card. I have like card from boxes that I cut up from other orders. Just to make them fit, and you're going to create like a little air gap, right? Little air gap in the box. This will also add on to the weight of the box, so bear that in mind when you do this, that it will add a little bit extra weight on. And so we need one more bit. I see many people doing this different ways, right? There is no absolute right way and absolute wrong way, so just do it the best you can, basically, right? Will that fit? Voila, right? So there we have our little heat shield and barrier. This will warm up nicely. And for this one, guys, I used a 72-hour heat pack. This is going to Ireland. Right, so my main goal with this was to make sure it gets away from Norway, and it's going to stay warm enough, because right now in Norway the temperature is getting like down below minus quite regularly, right? So this will ensure that it gets away from Norway in that cold temperature, because in Ireland it's like 10-15 degrees most of the time. It's also important when you do this, guys, as well, that you check whoever you're sending the shrimp to, you check their temperatures as well. Alright, so next step is take 2 sheets of paper, get your little package, place it in the center, and guys, I can't stress this enough, take your time here. Right, there is no rush at all. I've seen guys do this in markets or in videos and stuff, and they go so fast. I mean, it's a little fragile shrimp in here. Why would you go that fast? Makes no sense to me. Do it as if it was like some kind of precious ornament, basically, in it, right? So get a little bit of tape. We're going to create a little tube here. Right, and our goal with doing this, guys, is to minimize the actual movement of the stuff inside, right? And obviously, a lot of the time, you won't have an extra pair of hands. When you're doing this, guys, just make sure that you don't pinch the bag inside. Fold it over as best as you can. Alright, and that's the first half done. Just make sure it's snug in there, push it down. Make sure when you fold it again on this side that you do not pinch the bag. And you have yourself a little package here. And it's perfectly insulated. You have your heat pack underneath, like so. Right, and I've done it this way because the little packages seem to fit almost perfectly into these boxes with a little bit of help. You see it? Like this. And that is all you need. The only thing you have to watch for when you do this, guys, is when you put your lid back on, that you don't block that breather hole. Right, so let's get the second one done. Again, take your time. There is absolutely no rush to do this. because it's in your interest as well, guys, to make sure that all your shrimp get to the person in the best possible condition. That is absolutely why I use insulated boxes and heat packs, right? Because even when it's hot, it needs to be cooled, and even when it's cool, it needs to stay warm. So you get what I'm saying, right? So fold over your ends like this. I hope as well that this all comes out like in the right angle, like I'm not just filming up here, which happens quite regular in a lot of my videos. Just fold over, make sure you're not pinching the inside of the bag, like so. You know, just looking at the other bag there, this one is like the perfect advert for this company. Bill Player. It's got their address, their logo. Isn't that cool how that's just worked out like that? Right, take your other one. This one's a little bit bigger, just gently fit it in, like so. And with these boxes, right, you're not going to run into issues with it moving down the way, right? But it might move up the way, because there's a gap here as well. So what you do, right, is you get the rest of your paper. All your aim here, guys, right, is to stop movement in the box, right? So you can imagine this one now has to be almost filled with paper to keep this snug like this, alright? Put it in, try not to block your breather hole here, you see it? Get more paper if you need to. Right, and this as well, when you're putting it in, make sure you don't just lay it flat, crunch it up, because it will create arches like this that help support the package inside. I probably need just one more piece here, actually. By the way, guys, as well, I use one of those paper cutters to get my paper all this perfect shape, which I'll show you in a second. Right, so we have our box like this. Flip it over. As I said, make sure your little hole here is clear. You can see it's clear on the inside as well. And normally when I do this as well, guys, it's always nice if you give people the extra little sample bag of food or something like that, right? Because I know when I get stuff, I like extra things, alright? So flip it over like this and just close it. And I can tell that this is already like the perfect fit, because it's just springing up that tiny little bit. That's what you're looking for, right? Let's get rid of the paper. I want to show you this paper cutter right now. Here, these things are quite cheap. This was $25. I'll just show you how quickly this works. And I use this on cardboard boxes as well, guys, to cut cardboard boxes perfectly. Right, so you flip it up. This line here is where I want it to cut. Close it. Put some pressure on here. It cuts your paper perfectly. It does it the same thing with cardboard. Right, let's get that out of the way. Blue Peter style. And then we have our box, right? So we have our top here. This is where our labeling will go here. Make sure, guys, that when you fill your whatever certificates it is that you need to put on your box, you must accurately put what is inside the box on the label description, because this is where loads and loads of people get problems with customs and stuff. Because if you just put aquarium decorations, it's not enough for them. They need to know what kind of aquarium decorations it is, right? If it is a plant, you need to put the type of plant in. If it's shrimp, you need to put the species on the label, okay? Try and do it as accurate as possible, because the last thing you want is for the box to be held up in customs because of something stupid like that, alright? So what I like to do with this, guys, is I sometimes get these boxes back when I send them to my friends, and specifically these ones. You see how it has this little zigzag motion here? If I tape around this way and then I have to cut the box, it makes hell of a mess of the box all the way around, right? So this is what I do with these ones. Right, you take your tape gun, close the box. You can see I'm pressing down with my hand here. Close the box, and you're going to do a gentle circle, right? Like this. Make sure you apply pressure all the way around when you're turning it. Like this, and just take your time again. Remember, you have living animals inside this box. Right, so go all the way around. I like to do this twice, like so, right, and then just cut it, right, and then go the other way, go diagonal as well. And when you're putting your labels in as well, guys, put your labels in first and then tape over the top. I'm obviously not going to show you that part because I don't want to show you who I'm sending the package to. Alright, but this is just to show you how I pack my shrimp. Alright, so that is more than enough tape around it both ways. Just make sure you press it all down as well, because tape can come off polysiren. Make sure you press it down both ways. Make sure your breather holes are completely open like this, and your shrimp will be good in here for the heat packs on the one I had, the 72-hour one, lasts for 4 days, but they do actually last for longer, a little bit longer. They last for 5-6 days, and this is because the heat pack inside, it might not have like the optimal temperature that's advertised that, but it'll still keep the box a little bit warm, okay, which is what we are looking for. Alright, so I hope you've enjoyed today's video, guys. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask me in the comment section before. This is how you pack shrimp, or this is how I pack shrimp. Love you all. Catch you in the next one. Happy shrimp keeping, guys.